wageni watatu Mheshimiwa Sebastian Kapufi mbunge, ambao ni wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani. Wadau wa maendeleo kutoka Marekani, karibuni sana.
What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome to Q2UA Fridays, exclusively here on Questy Night Africa's channel. How are y'all this Friday?
Good morning. Good morning. It's the Q2UA housewarming.
We appreciate everybody coming in to the housewarming today. Just leave your gifts on the table at the front and find yourself a seat.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome.
How's everybody going this Friday, fam? What we wanted to do this Friday was something that, Sister Shar and I was having a conversation, and it was an experience that she had and some knowledge that I had. And when we put it together, we came up with a very alarming fact. And then, afterwards, I kind of went in and went down a little mini rabbit hole a little further than I've always gone, and found out that we're also not the only ones who had this concern. There were other people in more official capacities who've had this concern, and this affects the diaspora heavily. You all know that I'm going to start from the beginning, because a lot of times people say that, when you bring up these type of things, that, oh, you're being a conspiracy theorist, and it's not that serious. You don't have to do so much and everything. So what we're going to talk about today is basically, it's something that you see all the time. I know everybody's seen the antennas and stuff that are all in our areas and stuff like that. But one thing that I've noticed, and if you start paying attention, you will notice that there's always an antenna in an area where the diaspora is heavy. Anywhere there's heavy parts of the African diaspora in America, there's always one of these big antennas in our areas. And I've even noticed some here in the Florida area where I'm at. They're lower. Like, there's one near, not too far from where I am, and it's extremely lower, way lower than any other one. They dress it up like a tree and everything. And there's been the new gauge of generation of cellular signal, and they call it 5G. Now, there's been a lot of folks where they say a lot of stuff. Some of these folks, I feel like they were purposely set up to just muddy the waters and say stuff. They'd say that 5G will cause the great virus that we had back in 2020, and all things like that are just kind of like dismissive. However, there are things that are true about these signals, and there are things that scientists have been asking for years. And actually, I will show it to you real quick here. I'm gonna share my screen real quick, just so you can say, because so people don't think, oh, they're just up here just making stuff up, and it's just, these black folks just be tripping. They see a spider and a danger and everything. Like, this is from the National Library of Medicine, and just to preface this. The reason why Q2UA brings this up is because we are concerned about the diaspora, and there's a precedent for this. And actually, before I even go there, I'm going to go into the precedent, actually. So to make sure that people don't think that, we're just up here just, they just being crazy. So this lady here wrote a book about the experiments that America did on its own citizens. She did a FOIA request. A FOIA is a Freedom of Information Act, so that means that you can get classified documents from the government. They usually take them, redact them heavily, and then hand them out to everybody. And the particular ones that she's talking about were released in the 90s. And fun fact, it was released President Clinton was the one who released them, and they were released on the same day of the O.J. Simpson trial.
When nobody's paying attention.
Wow. So if you've never heard of it before, it's understandable because you were more than likely going off about the whole OJ thing when they silently released all these documents.
Wow.
And I'm not gonna read the whole thing here, but there was one part right here that I want to read. She wrote the book, and she was like, one example she cites. She's talking about her book here. They're talking about her book. She cites is a 1940s experiment in Nashville, Tennessee, wherein 820 impoverished and pregnant women were given a mixture that included radioactive iron during their first prenatal visit. These women were given a radioactive material without their knowledge and had their blood and the blood of their babies tested by scientists to determine how radioactive exposure during pregnancy affects babies. Tests were also performed in Chicago and San Francisco. They targeted the most vulnerable in society in most cases, Marino Taylor said. They targeted children. They targeted pregnant women in Nashville, people who were ill in hospitals. They targeted wards of the state, and they targeted minority populations. So now you see why we're bringing this up to the diaspora. What's Question United Africa have to do with this? Because our role is to protect and help the diaspora, whether it's here on whether it's on the continent or here in America. We're all about protecting our people and making our people aware of the things that we just lived oblivious of all our life.
Wow. There's no depth to the evil, right?
Wait till you find out what they did and the other things that they have done. Marino Taylor's newest book was followed up to her 2012 dissertation, which brought to light the testing of radioactive materials by the government on poor communities in St. Louis in the 1950s and 60s. She discovered that the mid-1950s, the U.S. Army sprayed zinc cadmium sulfide, a fine fluorescent powder, into impoverished African-American neighborhoods in St. Louis, Missouri, from planes and roof-mounted machines. The idea was to simulate how a biological chemical would spread throughout the city. Marino Taylor says she discovered evidence that radioactive materials were mixed into the chemical payload. One woman who witnessed this chemical test, Mary Helen Brindle, 73, remembers playing outside on her street when Army planes showered her neighborhood with a fine white substance. Brindle suffered from breast, thyroid, skin, and uterine cancers throughout her life. Her sister died of a rare esophageal cancer. I just want an explanation from the government, Brindle said. Why would you do that to people? So when you read about, and to show you the deviousness, because there was another article I read that was by a government, I think it was, it was on the government, it was from the government. It was a study done by the government. Here it is. Nope, that's not it. I can't find it where I put it. But the government basically did a study and said, "Oh no, everything was fine. Everything's good. Zinc cadmium isn't bad. It wasn't that big of a concentration. If you just breathed in small amounts, it's not. It's an inconclusive thing to say that it causes cancers." But here you have this woman who had an eyewitness account of seeing the planes drop the powder on her, and then she suffered from cancer, and her sister died from cancer. How many more of our people have died from these cancers, weird cancers out of nowhere, because of these experiments from back in the 50s? So that's the precedent, so for people that say, "Oh, why would the government do that?" This is just one example. I'm not telling you about it. You can go look this up. You can go look up it was during the time of World War II, during the Manhattan Project. So all of these were done by the Atomic Agency of America. They're no longer, they reformed that group. But when that group was still around, the Atomic Agency, that was a government branch, and they signed off on all of these different experiments.
Wow.
They had another one where they worked with Quaker Oats, and they were putting radioactive material in the food of kids inside of a mental asylum. So there were kids that were in an asylum, like she said, wards of the state, and the ones that were mentally ill, they started lacing their food with radioactive material to study how they act and to study what they were doing.
Awful. Like when you said you went down a rabbit hole, Red, like I did not realize how deep the rabbit hole goes. Like, so family, there's this little phenomenon that's been happening whenever I'm on a meeting and I take a meeting in a certain room in my house. Everyone has started recognizing, oh, you must be in the kitchen, because my phone doesn't work anymore when I'm in my kitchen. And so I started explaining that it hadn't always been like that. It was in 2020 when we recognized some people came, dug up a piece of our sidewalk right in front of our house and put something under the sidewalk that left a visible lump. It was whatever they put in there and left a visible lump in the sidewalk. And ever since that day when they put that whatever it is in the sidewalk, my phone no longer works in my kitchen. And I had just been kind of like griping about how irritating it is, because I have a very predictable loss of signal now ever since they put the whatever it is under the sidewalk. And of course, y'all know Brother Red is, he's IT guy, technology researcher extraordinaire, right? So he's like now looking at Red, weren't you saying like 5G towers are normally put lower to the ground?
That is exactly where I was going. The 5G, because of it's a higher energy. Basically all an antenna is you take like a conductor, a little, like basically the antenna on your car. When you had that, all that was your radio sending an electrical signal through the car. So it just basically sends that electromagnetic pulse through it, and it pulses it at a certain rate. That's where you get the hertz. The hertz is how many times a second that this thing is pulsing out. And it would basically just send that charge up, and then as it sends it up, it will pulse the radio out, and that's how you get your radio waves. But again, electromagnetic waves are what's called non-ionizing. So what that means is ionizing radiation is radiation that makes all of our cells are like a battery. It all works together like a big, pretty much chemical battery. That's what all of that's how your cells produce energy. They do a biochemical reaction, and then it creates electricity within your body, and that's how your cells power itself. That's how your heart moves. Your heart literally has it's called like a SA. The SA, the little flap of skin called the SA that generates a pulse of electricity that goes through another node on your heart. Y'all forgive me, I'm not the heart expert. I can't remember the names. One was sinoardial, and I can't remember the other one. If you're a heart doctor, forgive me, I'm a neophyte. But there's two parts of your heart that how it works is it just generates an electrical pulse. There's another part of the heart, it acts like what's called a resistor in the circuit. A resistor slows down and diverts the electrical signal. And that's what this organ does. And it uses that electricity to contract your heart, because that's what happens when you get electrocuted. Your muscles contract. So it uses a small pulse of electricity to contract your heart and bring it back out. So that's just one example. All our cells all deal with electromagnetic electricity. So when you have something that's ionizing, that means that it's taking electrons out of whatever it's hitting. That's why those high radiation, high energy, like, gamma and from nuclear bombs and stuff like that, when it hits your cells, it basically overexcites your cells and makes them blow up. It overloads your cells. The energy is too much, and the cells, just like a circuit. That's what happens with an EMP when you get, like, they say, oh, your car won't work and computers won't work.
It's like blowing a fuse.
Exactly.
So
it's like blowing a fuse.
We were talking about all of these heart failures and all of these young people, right? So in our community, we have our immediate knee-jerk reaction of why there's so many heart failures. But when we were looking at the warfare, right? This digital warfare, this invisible warfare, this radioactive warfare, then there was that other connection to heart health and the possibility, right? So right now we're putting on our hypotheses, our logical reasoning. Could it be that a lot of these heart failures are also connected to this issue that we kind of stumbled across, and now Red is bringing to light how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Mm-hmm.
And this has been since the 50s that we're discovering this morning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I wanted to push the thing on the heart so that way y'all can see. I found the thing I was talking about. This is just a diagram of your heart, and then it tells you how does the heart beat. An electrical stimulus is generated by the sinus node, or it is called the SA. This small mass of specialized tissue located in the right upper chamber arteria of the heart. This sinus node generates an electrical stimulus regularly, 60 to 100 times per minute under normal conditions. The arteria are then activated. The electrical stimulus travels down through the conduction pathways and causes the heart's ventricles to contract and pump out blood. The two upper chambers of the heart are stimulated first and contract a short period of time before the two beat lower chambers of the heart ventricles. So your heart is at a certain frequency, you can say. It has a certain rhythm that goes to it. The electricity in the circuits of the heart that we're designed have a certain pace to go with it. So keep that in mind. Just want you to keep that in mind. So this is from the National Library of Medicine. So this is from a bunch of doctors that have gotten together, and this is actually a study that was done back in 2020, but it was first published on the 2015. So this isn't nothing new. These doctors have been concerned about this for a while. And it says the health risks from radio frequency radiation, including 5G, should be assessed by experts with no conflict of interest. What has happened is, I'm giving y'all, a little history. So, because what we're going to say is going to sound kind of, to the non-enriched mind, but I want to put as much what you would call factual facts behind it from experts, so you'll see that it's not just a bunch of Negroes who don't know what they're talking about.
We're not being we're not being what's the other word they like to throw out there?
Doing too much.
So we're talking, right? And look, this is one of our medical experts here asking a question because she's seeing the dots connecting, right? Here's a question for you, Red. Are these towers on frequencies or something different?
They are on certain frequencies. Most of them are for various cell phones. Every cell phone company, how these towers work is most of the time a company or some third party will find a spot and say this is a good spot for a tower, and they'll build one there, and then they rent space on the tower to all the different vendors. So you'll have Verizon up there, you'll have T-Mobile, you'll have everybody up there, and then you'll even have some other third party folks, like you'll have government putting their state and local government putting their stuff up there for their different things that are connecting and whatnot, and any other company that wants to have any kind of radio or wireless transmission. So they put them on these towers, and they're all high energy, and they're all there's a lot of power that goes through those things. When those guys work on those towers, you have to turn the tower off first, or else you're going to get messed up when you climb up there. So already there's a lot of energy at the base of these towers, and they're putting them in different neighborhoods, and they've been telling people for years, oh, it's fine, it's okay, it's nothing serious. But as these doctors are saying, that you need somebody that's not with no conflict of interest, because most of these people that say that they're okay are doctors that are on a payroll for these telecom companies.
Brother Red, I just had the image of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like, not to be funny, but it's like how long have we been living under this amount of radiation?
Right.
And what is it doing to our genome? What is it doing to our humanity? Like, what are they trying to do to us?
They say it's non-ionizing radiation. So I want y'all to understand what non-ionizing radiation is. I'm gonna let the robot from Bing give me a good aggregation. Now, they say non-ionizing radiation refers to electromagnetic radiation that does not possess sufficient energy to ionize atoms and molecules. Basically, remember, ionize means it's going to excite it so much that it loses electrons. So essentially overloading your cells and molecules, meaning it cannot remove electrons from their orbitals. Instead, non-ionizing radiation interacts with matter by exciting electrons to higher energy states. Now, that alone sounds bad still. Because remember, your heart is set up with a delicate balance for what it's doing. So if you're receiving some kind of energy that's super high and exciting it, what kind of effect will that have on your body?
They're like they're trying to blow the circuit, right? And it's
Yes.
crazy because I was wondering with some of the sounds, like, so I don't know if I'm the only one that they're like this. That this comment reminded me of this of the buzzing sound. Where was it? It was somebody just commented about a buzzing sound, the sound of the energy going through a copper wire. Was it this one? Yes. Every now and then, there's just this buzz, or like almost it's a buzzing, a very, very high pitched buzz.
Because those are the frequencies that you're hearing coming off of those high energy. When you see there's different types of power lines. The power lines we see in the city are the low energy ones, because relay stations take the high energy, because high energy electricity travels faster. So when it's going over long distances, they raise the energy of the electricity. So those lines that you see typically like out in the country, when you see the bigger, thicker pylons holding the lines, there's a lot more juice going through those than the ones that are coming down into your buildings and stuff in your street. So sometimes when you're near those, and again, some of those you see in the hood, you do see some big pylons in the hood, and you see substations also in the hood. They all generate electromagnetic radiation.
Exactly.
All of that. That buzz that you're hearing is that radiation crackling through the air. That's what you're hearing. That's that same thing. Like it's this high energy. We're told that it's okay and it's fine, but we don't know the effects, and that's what these doctors are saying. They're saying the 5th generation of radio frequency, RF radiation, is about to be implemented globally without investigating the risk to human health and the environment. This has created debate amongst concerned individuals in numerous countries. In an appeal to the EU, European Union, in September 2017, currently endorsed by 390 scientists and medical doctors, a moratorium on 5G deployment was requested until proper scientific evaluation of potential negative consequences has been conducted. This request has not been acknowledged by the EU. The evaluation of radiation risks from 5G technology is ignored in a report by a government expert group in Switzerland and a recent publication from the International Commission of Non-Ionizing Radiation Protection. I looked them up too, and they were saying the same thing. They're like, they basically said, oh, it's not fine. It could be bad, but we haven't seen anything.
You are the king of the rabbit hole. Hey, here's another one. What about solar panels?
Solar panels are different. Solar panels are basically like they take what the plants do and do it in a similar way. It just is not as efficient as plants. Solar panels aren't as that efficient, but they basically can do like a electrical reaction to taking the radiation from the sun and converting that into energy. It's essentially a type of photosynthesis. Again, just not as efficient as plants do it, but it doesn't generate radiation like that. These are antennas. Antennas use, like when you send that electrical signal up the antenna, it causes electricity carries electromagnetic waves with it. They go hand in hand. As a matter of fact, that's the reason why all your cords and stuff are shielded, because it's not the actual cord that carries your electricity energy. It's actually the electromagnetic wave. So electricity generates that electromagnetic field, and then that's why you have to shield it in all your cords, your cord charging your phone, everything. That's why they're all wrapped in a shielding. So that way that magnetic field doesn't escape, number one, so you can keep it concentrated and going to where you want it to go to do what you want it to do. And then number two, so it doesn't interfere with anything else around it. So you can have cords laying next to each other and not have your cables start getting messed up. So these electromagnetic waves carry energy. Again, we use it to power our devices. And at high energy levels, that can't be good.
So here's a very Food and Drug Administration comment right here, right? That we're all subject to this low level of poisoning, right? Mm-hmm. But the legal language that's always used when poisoning of the population is permitted is reasonable. That is always terminology used in the statutes, in the judicial interpretation, is reasonableness. And so there's never any telling until there's like a mass occurrence of some type of harm or loss of life before there's ever litigation, before there's ever any accountability, so that it can be determined what was reasonable. But the idea that we're all subject to it and we're surrounded by it, and I saw a comment earlier, the Matrix, like this, for real, for real, for real, for real.
It is. Tell them the story that you had, Sister Shar, about your experience, and that especially after they put that big old antenna that caused a hump outside of your place.
Yes. So, family, I actually in an event where I was asleep in the lower level of my home, closest to whatever is in that sidewalk, experienced my heart stopping in my sleep. And since that time, and I thank the Most High that he's always speaking to his people. He's always giving us information. He's always cluing us in to protect us. I didn't realize at the time that that incident had anything to do with being so close to this energy force, this energy field. And since that time, again, not really understanding until recently when Red and I were talking about this, that this was why I was led to begin strengthening my heart through exercise, through taking better, because I've been sedentary for like 20 years. I sit behind a desk all day, every day into the night, right? And the strengthening of our heart is one practical way that we can be aware and mindful not to get ourselves overloaded, not to get God, because that's what happened to me.
And I believe that's what happened to a friend of mine, because he was my same age. This was back in 2015. And then all of a sudden, one day in his sleep overnight, he had a heart attack and died. Young dude, we wasn't even 40 yet by then. And we was in our 30s, and he passed away like that. There's so many other folks that we know of, especially nowadays, young. We can definitely look at their final solution to the medical problem that came about in 2020, wording intended. We can definitely see that there's a lot of effort done to weaken us in a lot of different areas. The water is poisoned. Everything has if you use your Yucca app, you'll throw away everything. I recommend the app Yucca for anybody that's trying to eat right and get right, because Yucca will show you how much poisonous stuff they put in the food, and almost all of it. Ever since Sister Shar and I have been talking about this, I've been paying attention to all the stuff that's in the food. Almost all of it affects heart health.
And I was telling you, Brother Red, that I was speaking to a client from the hospital, a young man, and I'm like, bruh, you're too young for what you're describing to me about your heart. And he said, that's what they say. But there are a lot of people in here younger than me with heart issues. He was giving a live report from a hospital in a cardiac unit about all the young people in there with heart problems.
And that's a common thing now. It's becoming more and more common. Football players and athletes having mitochondrial infractions all over the place.
We're glad you found us. Look, this is the Q2UA house party. Welcome in.
Don't worry, there's some boxes. We still ain't unpacked everything yet.
Yes, please excuse the boxes. You can put your dish over on the table, and we all gonna wash our hands and get into that. Yes, we appreciate everyone hitting the thumbs up, subscribing, sharing. This is your channel. This is your community. This is yours, and we are here to serve and support our community with valuable and reliable information. We're here to connect with each other, and we're here to help each other be safe and to be healed and to be whole. And there's like this really big, movement in our community when it comes to healing, right? When it comes to understanding how to be whole, when it comes to understanding how to take better care of our avatars, because our avatars are housing our spirit, and our avatars, our nature, the way we are created is very electrical. And so with the enemy understanding that about our nature and us not understanding that, we've been kind of like sheep without a shepherd, right? And not really understanding the vulnerabilities from an electromagnetic standpoint. We're surrounded by these devices. We've been normalized to these higher levels of electricity. And so having these kind of conversations is how we take care of our family.
That's right. We one of the things that we want to let everybody, that's why I went through so much effort to, make sure I found some sources from doctors and scientists and people that know. And the fact that there was 390 of them combined that had their questions about this 5G thing. I believe that because I think it was in 2020 in Ireland, some dude came around and he started shooting at or throwing something at, 5G towers and all this little crazy stuff. I believe stuff like that is set up so that when you have these type of conversations, people just automatically go, oh, okay, you're crazy. Oh, like this. Because people love, our brains love the normalization of things. And we love to think that everything is what we're told instead of realizing that we're dealing with real forces that don't like us. They just because slavery ended in one form doesn't mean the mechanisms of slavery don't exist in another form. Instead of them just personally killing the babies, we now have Planned Parenthood. They've set it up and rejiggered our brains to think that, oh, doing this, telling our women, oh yeah, doing this is freedom. Telling your men, oh no, you don't want that. Just set the system up so you don't want to do that. And when she gets pregnant, give her the money for a morning after pill, and send her on her way. And little evil stuff like that, just as it was in the days of Noah. Because if you read Enoch, they used to drink a drought, and that used to happen. They used to not do that. They also used to terrorize the earth by doing all their different pollution and how they handled things with all the technology. And this is no different from that at that time. This is the same thing that we're facing, where we're coming out and we're dealing with silent weapons and quiet wars.
Silent and quiet war.
Because I know everybody remembers Tuskegee.
What was the name of that book? Was it like it was Germs something and Steel? There's this really popular international relations book to understand how colonialism seized control of the whole world, and it was through silent weapons, invisible weapons. It was germs. The last colonialism was through germs.
Yes.
It was through coming into the quote unquote new world and unleashing smallpox and all manner of nasty people disease, right? And coupled with their physical weapons, the guns, they subdued the entire world with pestilence, the things you cannot see.
There's so many examples of things being done that we don't, know about. There's a reason why these old school asylums, if you ever look at those old asylum buildings from like the 50s and stuff like that, during the time where a lot of this testing was going on, there was always graveyards in the back. Why would an asylum have graveyards? Like, wouldn't you send them to the morgue and, have the morgue take care of them? Why would you want to bury them in your backyard unceremoniously? What are you doing in all these different places? What we got to understand is they're still experimenting on us. Just like the one sister that had her cells captured because they found out that they were conductive for genetic experiments. So they still, to this day, are messing with that woman's cells without her knowledge. How many of our sisters get their cells cultivated when they go in for their gynecology visits and whatnot? You don't know. You don't know. This is why it's very, important that you get with, doctors that you trust and that because a lot of these doctors, especially when it comes to us, I've seen, there was this one doctor lost his job because he was warning Hebrew women that, hey, this woman almost died on the table if I didn't advocate for her. She was saying she was in pain and nobody listened. Like you have to advocate for yourself, especially ladies, because y'all have different medical things from men, and when they come in, they don't be caring about y'all. They treat us like experiments. As you see, this is what they're doing. These 5G towers, they put them low and into the ground. What they installed in Sister Shar in front of her house, and again, she told me too, she's the only Hebrew in her neighborhood.
Yes.
And they put it in front of her house.
Right in front of our house. We are the only ones here. And put it right in front of our house.
So big that it humped the sidewalk.
The hump in the sidewalk, man. It's absolutely insane. And you know what? As we were talking about the experimentation and stuff, it's no wonder, that little movie, Magical Negroes, like, I believe that a part of that terminology is like, man, everything we do, like, they don't die, they multiply. Like, that's what our people had always been. What does Exodus tell you? It tells you that as Pharaoh increased the pressure upon the Israelites, they actually increased. Like they grew. They multiplied even more. Like, why do these people, why is it so hard to kill them?
I know they are fascinated why we not all coming out with genetic defects. We should not be where we are. This nothing but the grace of the Most High that we are where we are. Because I see even everybody talking about the dementia. Yes, your brain is also electrical. All of your brain cells and all the different synapses use electricity for everything that it does. So that's one of the reasons why I don't like holding my phone to my head. I don't like now that you even have to use Bluetooth. They make you use Bluetooth. Mm-hmm. You have to. You don't even have a jack on your phone no more to plug it in. I still would love to plug my phone in. I don't want to have the Bluetooth, plugged in all the time. But they force you to do it. They're always forcing you to put some type of non-ionizing radiation in near your head. And yes, though it may not be ionizing in the fact that it may damage it directly, but constantly sending electricity into your cells and exciting them over and over and over in ways that they're not designed to do can't have a positive effect. It's going to cause mutations, and it's going to cause the cancers and the abnormalities that we're seeing in young people.
And this is the other reason why we went into our rabbit hole, Brother Red, about the power of our words and the power of prayer, because it's not spooky. Your sound is actually a wave. It is energetic. You are impacting the atmosphere with your words. So when we are praying and we are asking for the Most High to protect us, and when we are declaring his word, and when we are praising, he says that he abides in the praises of his people. So when we are lifting up that joyful noise, when we are creating a space with our words, when we are making room for him in the atmosphere with our words, he is life. When we are speaking according to his way and walking in his way, he says in the Psalms that we would be like trees planted near the rivers of living water. So these things are very spiritual. These things are very necessary. That much more now that we're aware that we are being attacked in the unseen realm, we need to make sure we are activating the unseen realm with the word of Yah. We need to make sure that we are operating in truth. And that's why, and Brother Red, how I am about words. So when you get to speak in a negative report, you get to speak in the evil report, you get to talking crazy, I start cutting up, because those types of words, according to the Proverbs and the law of Proverbs, life and death are in the power of your tongue. So if you are speaking in a way that is contrary to Yah's nature, if you are participating in conversations that are not of our Father's nature, then you're literally destroying the atmosphere around you and opening up access to these evil influences that we can't see.
Exactly. There is a reason why, if you look in Genesis 1, the word was used to create the earth. The word was used to breathe into man. And then the Most High turned around and manifested his word as Yahushua HaMashiach and used his word to
Yes.
redeem us.
Yes.
There's power in words. You look at how the Most High is showing you through the symbolism of everything, that the word, your word, we are in his image. Your words have power. When you understand that your words is a vibration. A vibration is energy acted on a medium. That is the official the official definition. When you slap water, the energy that you put in your hands and your muscles to slap down gets transferred into the water and creates waves. So how you move and how you hit that water creates different types of waves. The same thing when you speak, it creates waves in the ether. You're creating waves out there, and this affects you. There was a scientist in Japan who did an experiment with water, and he spoke into different types of the water and before he froze it. And one, he spoke loving affirmations, and the other one, he spoke evil things like, I hate you, I'm going to kill you, stuff like that. When the water froze and he observed it, the ones that he spoke positive affirmations into made beautiful creatures. Yes. Beautiful crystals. Yes. The ones that he spoke the negative affirmation into, that frozen water was all disheveled. It looked broken.
It looked nasty. It looked nasty. It looked demonic.
Yes. That's why with plants, they say to talk to plants. When you speak positive to plants, the plants respond. If they did an experiment, when you speak negative to the plants don't grow as well.
Yep. What read in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with Yah. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. When we reconnect with our ancient relationship with our words, with our sound, when we become intentional about the things that we're saying and our connection with our Creator, we could literally create force fields around ourselves and around our people because of prayer.
Why do you think that the messengers of Yah, the angels, were able to rescue Paul and them when they were in jail? Because they weren't in there complaining when they were going through their trial. They weren't in there whining. They were singing. They found joy in the midst of the trial. And when you speak life and speak joy in the midst of that, you give space for the Most High to move. Because you are putting, like he said, you are believing, you're lining up. See, when lightning strikes, I'm somewhat giving y'all some stuff that we be swirling on.
You might go there and it's making me happy.
I'm trying not to go too far in because I'm limited on time, and that's a whole like.
Well, we do have a guest here that we'll be able to segue in and talk about some of the future stuff. But again, y'all, thank y'all for joining us at our housewarming, the Q2UA, the official Q2UA housewarming. This is where the party will be on Fridays, and you know what? We really, really give a lot of appreciation and gratitude to the Covenant Awakenings channel that has built awareness around the mission, the vision, the community of Q2UA, and have made room for Q2UA to be incubated in his channel. And so, Brother Karis, thank you for creating this space and opportunity for us to get our own house.
Shalom, everybody. I appreciate that, the warm words. It was bittersweet to kick the swatters out, but those lax laws that they be having for illegal immigrants, we had to get you.
Where's my card for 1,500, Mike? I need my 1,500 card, Mike.
Look, I didn't see any of that 20,000 that y'all were getting at the border, so you know what? Y'all had to go.
Hey, we was giving you our food stamps like.
We're half and half on that.
I got half of the rent, and then the other half I got these stamps. So if you want to trade,
oh goodness,
we'll give you half in cash, half in stamps. If that don't work, give me a week and I flip these stamps.
Awesome transition for not only our community, but hey, Brother Karis is now accomplished as an author. He is being promoted in more ways than we can ever really articulate at this point. But you're looking at the face of neo diplomacy right here. You're looking at a trailblazer who is literally doing what has not been done in the diaspora before, and literally kicking in doors that are creating room and opportunity for us to build ties, relationship, reconnect with our homeland and our people. And so we honor you and we appreciate you so much for your leadership and for getting the organization to where we are and taking us to where we're going. You've done a tremendous job. And so this week is just a culmination of the necessary transition, because we've been incubating leaders. People have been coming out. Like, I love to use Brother Garth as an example. Y'all, Brother Garth has taken ownership as a technical engineer here at Q2UA, ensuring that we are hosting the Friday news. He's been making sure that Brother Michael is taken care of on the continent, and he really stepped out into his own personal leadership and is continuing to develop his own personal leadership. And Brother Karis is just an example of each and every one of us kind of getting kicked out, and pulled out to step into that space. So thank you so much for, attending our housewarming this morning.
Yeah, absolutely. The funny thing is, I was running late. I said that in the chat, in the private. And Brother Red, if you want to share the book link, I dropped in the private chat, so folks can see where to pick up the book on Amazon. It's funny because when we are challenged, the Most High has us go through a challenge because there's something that's getting ready to happen. There's a door that's getting ready to open on up. And when that door opens, there is an appreciation of where you had to come from and what you're going to be able to do where you're going, because it's a growing phase. Now, not many folks, and Sister Shar, Brother Red, the board, Question Night Africa, in the period of less than 18 months, we have engaged with numerous diplomats on so many levels, from the top to the bottom, ground floor. This is what's happening in the background. And it was Sister Shar. She came out back in, what was that, May or I think it was like April or May. Wasn't that, Sister Shar? When we were talking about the formulating that strategy, of really developing ourselves in personal development. And for me, I like to be in my little bit of a comfort zone. Okay, I have Covenant Awakenings, I got Question Night Africa, I got these little things here, this little thing there, and Red, if you want to open that link and share the link so folks can see what that book looks like, if you don't mind, I appreciate you. So, um, so so as I was getting out of my comfort zone, all these things started to really pick up in terms of, wow. Last year, I was talking about, having a diplomatic corps because of the mission of Question Night Africa. Well, if you're going to be on a Question Night Africa, you have to talk to some world leaders. You're going to have to talk to some, heads of state and other officials. Because why? Because this is the very first time that we're actually able to represent our interest. Our interest as the African diaspora. We've never had that framework. We've been given that framework. And in this whole organizational setup with Q2UA Africa, this is why I said, look, it's the Most High's organization. Doors have been opened that have been so grand that honestly, we could never really truly understand what was happening, how things are going. Man, this channel's getting throttled. Shout out to folks. It came up to 140 and then it jumped straight out. That's what happens. Because you want to know why? We were just saying this. To have over 140 people and folks are getting kicked out left and right, that's what's happening. And see, now it's jumping up 122. Understand there are limits of being throttled. You don't come, day in and day out, and then YouTube wants a mass gathering of our people really here. Why is that? Because there's growth, there's nourishment, right? There's community, and there's ways to be involved that is so powerful that we're doing a lot of things that's behind the scenes that the pictures don't do it justice. But what does that mean for us? That means that we have to fill in roles that we have not been traditionally used to. We're going to learn how to be diplomats.
Aren't we like the organization of reluctant leaders?
Exactly.
Everyone in leadership.
That's scared. Let me tell you, that's scared, Sister Shaw. Go ahead, Sister Shaw.
We didn't want this.
That's scared, Sister Shaw. She was like, okay, I see what you're going, Brother Carrots. Okay. I can see the Logan Act. I can see this.
Man, every board member of Q2UA was pulled in. Look, they were like, no. They were looking for this. Mm-hmm. No one came in looking to take over, take charge, boss over people. Everyone who's in leadership today was self-describing themselves as working in the background. I do best working in the background.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I'd rather hide than shine.
Man, let me tell you that. Let me tell you. Ask the folks. When I first jumped in here, I said, I definitely want to support, but I'll just do it on the background. I said that. I said, I'm background. I don't care who's up front. I'll just be the background singer. Doo-doo up. Do. That's all I wanted to do. That was just me.
IT by its nature is background. I love that. That's why I like it. So I sit in the back. I don't have to be on the floor. I just come out, fix what I fix, and then go back to my closet.
well, but then we had to understand, why are we programmed to do that? It's a programming effort. Because why? Because we have not been allowed to show what our true potential has always been. We always will be told, oh, don't get uppity, because why? You'll lose your job when you start to do what? Show up. When you start to what? Outperform.
Mm-hmm.
When you start to do what? To let the Most High use you. And when he uses you, you get bold. And when you get bold, guess what? You become scary and frightening. You become that difficult black man or black woman that, is a detriment to the workforce. That's what we know. This language, we know this jargon. This is the vernacular that they use against us.
Angry black man, angry black woman.
Yes, but aggressive. And
yes.
and unlike our European counterparts, one of the biggest struggles that we have competing in the marketplace is that we do not self-promote. We are talking about a culture who does not self-promote, and other cultures are dominating in competitive spaces because they shamelessly self-promote. They tough to the point of almost lying. And we sit on greatness and sit silently expecting for someone to just pick up on it in the ruach. But we got to open our mouths. We got to shine. We got to be willing to say what the Most High says. We got to be bold in being busy about our Father's business. And it has been a movement of reluctant leadership, a movement of people who became very comfortable in hiding. I could personally say that part of the reason I've worked with so many people for as long as I've worked, but no one knows me, is because my survival strategy was to fly beneath the radar.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because the minute you come out, you become a target.
Mm-hmm.
So our survival strategy of hiding, we are being transitioned out of that, because what did Yahusha say about light? He says, do you take the candle and hide it up under a bushel?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you put it on the top of the house? Do you put it on a mountaintop? Let your light so forth shine. We was in church. We were out here singing This Little Light of Mine, not understanding that that was talking about you. It was talking about your gifts, your talents, your voice, your skills, whatever that thing is that is unique and special to you to establish the kingdom in Yah's glory. Do not hide it. We can't hide anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that's always the kick that I always get. You know, the kick in the derriere. I always say from Sister Shar, Brother Karras, have you considered? Brother Karras, have you thought about? And you know, it's funny because we were talking about this thing last year, and look how this came to fruition. And honestly, family, look, I'm not just here to promote a book because, you know, this book is going to do this or do that. Look, that's in the Most High's perspective. But what I am going to promote is we are needed on the continent, not just yesterday, not just 2 weeks ago. We're needed right now. But the way that we're needed, we have to be ready to understand how we engage with our brothers and sisters. So you have to know the strategies that come about that, because in order to know the strategies, you really have to have an understanding of the historical issues that they have been going through. You have to then understand what does that look like in this contemporary format, and you have to realize where it is that we're going. See, the great thing about everything here is there's a cheat sheet. It's not the fact that we're never going to go. Oh yeah, we're going. But isn't it awesome that when you're forced to leave or get evicted, you now have a nice place to lay your head. You now have great neighbors that you can, you know, be around and that actually want you around them and that wave and say hi and embrace you and, you know, all the good stuff. You hang on out and you can get out the dominoes and get out the cards, and you'll never be at a loss for folks and spades partners. But you better pick the right spades partner. You know what I'm saying? Well, be one of no type of books.
I'm glad you brought up the games, because that's a part of what our format is going to be on certain segments. We are excited to begin hosting a family feud, y'all. And so we invite the diaspora and the continent so we can line up and start having some conversations. So just to kind of give you some context, the hypothetical that we discussed this week about this context was this. We want our brothers and sisters from the continent to come in and ask questions about the things they've heard about us. So, is it true that all African Americans eat colored greens? Right? Let's have these conversations. Let's bring out these what are they called? The stereotypes. And let's get to know each other in this virtual space. This is a space where we can have some conversations. Even earlier this week in a leadership meeting, we had a whole, it was about to be a fight. It was about to be a family feud over who eat grits and who put sugar in grits.
I do grits. Listen. I just eat grits. I don't care what you mock up them grits with. You can put honey, butter, sugar. You can put cheese, salt. I don't care. Grits is grits to me.
I'm sorry.
No, grits. Oh no, you got to do it with just cheese only. Oh no, you got to do grits with just sugar. You know, it was something.
John P. Key sang it best. He sang a song, "Sugar Don't Go on Grits." Sugar don't go on grits.
Oh boy.
So, you know, any place where our differences have been used to divide us, we are going to use the family feud as an opportunity to overcome and break those barriers. That division, they've divided us, man versus woman. They've divided us, light skin versus dark skin. They divided us, kinky hair versus silky hair. They've divided us on so many different ways. Even in the continent, what the whole fight in Rwanda was brewed over a difference between people, right? Between families.
Yes, it was.
The tall ones and the short ones. What?
Yeah.
So the Q2UA family feud, we're going to identify places where we've been divided, and we're going to bring them out in the open. Because if you know anything about me, I have learned to understand the power of healing through conversation, through bringing things out of hiding and into the light, talking about them honestly, even when your feelings are hurt. When you speak about the things that hurt you, you create room for healing and reconciliation. So we're going to be very intentional about that here in the next few weeks, staging and hosting our family feud. So this is a call out to the continent, our African brothers and sisters. We want to hear from you. We want to line you up to have some conversations with us here in the diaspora so that we can get out in the open things that divide us and we can deal with them and heal.
Absolutely. That, you know, I'm not gonna lie, family. I'm gonna tell you, these are some exciting times to be alive in. We're in some very, very exciting times. Don't worry about what's happening in the rest of the world. Look, all that's because of us waking up. All that is because of us coming together, doing things like this. I have to say, over the last 18 months, I've never been this productive since I started working at the age of 15. With my first job at McDonald's, I've never been this productive. And it's not a productivity that drains you, that hurts you, that stomps on you. It's a productivity because honestly, it's each and every day something's new, right? Because it may feel it may feel draining, but then it's like, man, that opened up. Ask Sister Shar, she'll let you know. Brother Karras, you know the Most High has you. Why are you acting like this? You know the Most High. And then what ends up happening? Come on, Sister Shar, because you always put me in my place. So what ends up happening?
I appreciate you letting me be the bossy big sister.
Yeah, she's my big. Yeah, she would be like my bossy big sister, like cousin. I kind of cringe because I don't be knowing how many seeds on out there that certain folks in my family done laid down in South Florida. So I'm just saying, I don't know. You get that DNA test, it's like, oh, for real? Oh man, what?
Man, the Most High always comes through in ways that we never imagined. And we are our own biggest enemy. We get in our own head. We get in our own way. We magnify our fears, and we have more faith in what we're afraid of than we have faith in what Yah says. And we all are guilty of it from time to time.
Yes.
And so, what we're doing, and first of all, yes, we're more productive, but we're not oppressed in our work. We're not micromanaging. We're not abusing each other. We are hearing each other. We're honoring the gifts in one another. So it's a lot of work, but it's community building.
It is.
And it's making room for the Most High to be who He is among us, because the evidence of who He is and our relationship with Him is how we regard each other, how we love each other. That is the proof of what we say about who our Father is. How can you say you love me, who you've never seen, but your brother who you see, you hate? This is the test, right? And so we're having to walk on water. We're having to go out and in the midst of people that think this is far-fetched and crazy. We're
literally walking. Yes. We're walking on this water right now. We're
walking on water.
Yeah, look, they gotta catch me sometimes. I'm like, I'm drowning. Why didn't you catch me earlier? Why'd you have to let my whole head go under? Oh
yes. So this is a big shout out and appreciation to all you water walkers out here. All of you who said yes to step out of the boat and walk on the water. Why? Because the King said, come. We can trust in His command that He's not going to fail us. We can trust that if He said to do it, He got it. We just got to shut down that fear mechanism, which the enemy has used to keep us quiet, to keep us subjugated, to keep us fighting, to keep us divided, to keep us crippled, and say, no, we have to literally take off the garment of the beggar and know that we're the King's kids. Put on your wedding clothes and come to the wedding. And we all are being challenged to do that each and every day in our personal lives and in our community, because this is a water walking mission. But the Most High keeps showing us, I'm with you. I got you. This me. The doors that have opened thus far, and the doors that have opened thus far still blow me away. They continue to blow me away, because none of us had the power in our own hands to open these doors. It was only timing, positioning in the favor of the Most High. When you think of the Levitical blessing, may the Most High bless you and keep you. May He make His face to shine upon you and give you favor. This is exactly what we're witnessing, particularly with the gift that's on your life, Brother Karis. The favor. You show up and doors are opening. You show up and people open their arms to you. They embrace you. You show up, and now taking that favor and gifting the community with that favor is what delights Yah.
Hallelujah.
So we are excited. And again, this is going to be the new community party on Friday mornings. Party over here at our house.
Q2UA. Just can't party too hard, because if you be partying and you buy them 5 Gs, you don't want to cook yourself. All right, we want to keep this a block party and not a cookout, not a fried radiation.
We're going to keep a praise on our mouth and have a shield around us that the enemy cannot penetrate. Every fiery dart of the enemy will be quenched concerning God's kids. And so this is where we'll be. And it won't just be myself and Red hosting the show. Like we mentioned, Q2UA is an organization of reluctant leaders. There are going to be some names and some faces you've not heard of who've been real comfortable in the chat. That will also be a part of sharing the news, the love, the warmth, of Q2UA with our community here on the Friday, the Q2UA Family Fridays. So we're just honored to be your opening host, and look forward to doing some more Family Feud type stuff and bringing y'all on to, let's have these conversations. But definitely, if we're not able to in any given week to do someone from the diaspora and someone from the continent, we got enough differences even here in the diaspora, shoot, between the Caribbean and the United States, that we could talk about we could talk about some of that stuff for the next 6 months just within the diaspora. So the Family Feud is going to be a healing opportunity and engaging and giving us room to have some real honest dialogue. And then we'll have some other really good content coming up from the creation of our Q2UA thought leaders, people who you may not have heard from, people who you really don't realize are giants among us. We'll also be creating more content. And for anyone who has a business and you would like to have a spot here on Q2UA to talk about your business, to bring community awareness, hosted here on Question Night Africa, we invite you to reach out to us so that we can make room for you and for your gift and promote you right here on Question Night Africa. We're going to have Brother Garth on at 10 o'clock, exploring the motherland with Garth, sharing the news on Africa and why it's related to the work of Q2UA. At noon today, we're going to have Brother Michael doing his thing. Shout out to Tanzania. Brother Mike is doing some amazing things, stepping into his authority, his gifts, and his calling, and making an impact on the ground in Tanzania. He will be on at noon today, and he is on every day at noon, talking about how we can seize opportunities in Africa from here in the diaspora. So, hey, we're still unpacking boxes.
They had to spread their wings and fly. Fly, baby birdie, fly. Fly. Oh.
Now this is great, Brother Karis, and you have said from day one, I'll work in the background, I'll help from the background, and you got boosted, you got kicked, boop, right to the front.
Yeah, there's still some days I have to say, Father, I don't want to second guess your judgment, but Father, but then I know I realize, listen, anything that we think of, we limit our spaces, we limit our boxes. Honestly, what now? 16 months ago, a little over 60 months ago, I never thought this organization would be here, where we're at, and we're not just outside, looking at the party. No, we're actually in the party. We're the ones that's literally, emceeing, the party, right? We're the ones, making sure that the tables and everything else is set up in the party. Sister Shara will let you know. Brother Walt will let you know. Sister Princess will let you know. We're not just, well, it's they do this, they do that. No, we have a mission. We're building our relationships on the continent. We are building our relationships on the continent. And I'm going to tell you, this is now, in every single hardship that we usually have, there's always a door that the Most High was getting ready to open. And there is a personal door I just got through with earlier this morning. I'll back brief Sister Shaw on this later on. But I'm like, Father, why is this thing so hard? Why is this thing so hard? Oh, there it was. That's the reason. That was the reason. And I'm going to tell you this, because here's the thing, the enemy knows where we're going. He's just trying to make sure that when we get there, we're the most ill-prepared ever. No, we're a different generation coming out of captivity. We are. So I would say prepare yourself now so when you get there, it's a smoother transition and you'll be able to help others that didn't prepare.
Yep.
This is, when I think about the book, and it's not any type of shameful self promotion. It's the truth. Who here has even heard about neo diplomacy? I mean, I have. I studied it, but I was more concerned. Okay, we need to do this to do that, and then it's realizing, no, it's a lot more, and we're doing that every single day. But we have to be able to, show our people, what it is that we do to operate with one another.
Absolutely. And no, it's not shameless promotion. It was a huge stretch, a large deviation from your comfort zone, a fiery trial for you to complete this book, and there are more to come. And we celebrate you and we support you in that accomplishment and the ones that are to come, because this brings glory to the Father when we do what's in us to do. And no, the enemy's not just going to roll over and let us run into the end zone. We have an adversary, but together and in our unity, through our love for the Most High and our love for one another, there is no gate of hell that will ever prevail against us.
So let me kind of tell you how this book is setting the stage, and then I'm gonna wrap it on up here. If you want to continue, Sister Shaw, this is well within your right. I mean, this is your platform now. This is your show now.
This ain't my show. I'm about to edify Brother Red for his awesome introduction to the silent. How did he say it?
The silent war. The
silent war. Invisible weapon, silent war. This brother is one of the most brilliant people I have ever met in my life. Do not sleep on Brother Red, because Brother Red not gonna take your word for it. He gonna get receipts. He gonna verify and validate. And he has such a gift for connecting the dots of information to bring an understanding that creates impact for our people. This brother is a force to be reckoned with. I appreciate you. I know you had to jump off, Brother Red, for your Babylonian situation, but we thank you, we honor you, we appreciate you and everything that you do. We would not even be in a position to even connect live the way that we are now, but for Brother Red's tenacity in the background in keeping our communication infrastructure intact. So that was all I really wanted to say before we wrapped up. But I'm honored to let you have the final word, Brother Karis.
Yeah, and what I was hinting at is, the way that Sister Shar had approached you. She said, Brother Karis, you got to write that book, because once you write that book, that's going to be a training aid for a class. So then you can teach our people how to do the neo diplomatic mission, because that's where we're at. That's the trajectory. And I said, huh. I said, interesting. She said, because yes, you need to train our people, and writing that book will create the baseline for the training. And once that training happens, right? So there's courses that's going to be involved. That's actually what I'm doing right now. I'm putting together a course. It's going to be right now a 4-week course. Once a week, a 4-week course, hour long. So it'll be about a total of a 4-hour course. But it's going to be very comprehensive in terms of being able to be a diplomat, especially from the African diaspora. And why is that important? From the African diaspora, because as we connect with our brothers and sisters on the continent, we have been in different regions, locations, the geographic dispersal of who we are. It wasn't done just in a happenstance. It was strategically done. I mean, think about it. You had folks that came from the United States to do what? To go to Jamaica because why? Because if they couldn't act right in the United States, they went to Jamaica to basically be broken in that Caribbean humidity. And once they were fully all the way broken and they could trust that mechanism of brokenness, then they would be able to be brought to, Europe or the UK in that manner. This was a level system. So once you understand how our people are, because there are influences on our people that's real. And if we don't know the spiritual applications to the practical problems, we'll take that baggage and then we will bring that baggage on our brothers and sisters in the continent, and they'll look at us like, whoa, this isn't what we signed up for. And Sister Shar and I, we witnessed that last year, last June, July timeframe.
In a horrible, awful, traumatic way.
In a very traumatic way. Very traumatic. But that did it discouraged me, but it didn't. That's when I realized. I said, no, we have to build up our brothers and sisters here. So look, Africa is 54 countries, 55 really. So out of that, that's not going to be a couple man show. That's going to be hundreds of people, thousands of people to be able to handle that amount of countries. There are geographical regions that will have to be dedicated for those specific missions. But in order to be successful, we have to be able to reprogram and truly understand how to interact with one another. We can't go there and say, what are you going to do for me? You going to have my land? You going to have that? No. We have to come there in the correct attitude. What can we do for you? How can we help you? How can we serve you?
That's right.
It's a servant leader because we have to have a servant attitude, because if we serve our Heavenly Father, guess what? You're serving man just as you're serving our Heavenly Father, right? We're servants. That's really the forefront of everything that we do. How do we serve? I served in the United States military for over 20 years. I served. So it's a service. We're in his service, the Most High service, to do what? To serve our brothers and sisters. In what? In love and humility and compassion. How do we get through the wrongs? How do we right the wrongs? How do we work with one another? So this is where we have to be able to reshape and reframe a narrative that has been thrusted on us from the people that hate us. Because if you hate somebody, you're gonna paint that person in the most negative picture. And really, just like with Red and Sister Shar was talking about earlier, with the way that you speak to water, you speak out life. Well, let me just tell you, we speak a lot of negative. So guess what we do? We curse each other. And we really carry those curses, and we actually hate ourselves. So we have to get over that. We have to understand that. We have to learn that. We have to say, Father, help me to speak life. Help my tongue to speak growth. Because if I can't control my tongue here, I'm not going to be able to control my tongue in front of our brothers and sisters that may just need that encouragement. Listen, family, it's not about do we have time? No, we got to get this thing done now, today, in this very moment, in this very hour. You know, the funniest thing was, as Mr. Shar and I were in the background getting some stuff done for a particular country we're working with, we were waiting on them and, for some different things. And then we got called and we got told, no, we're the holdup. What?
And you know what? We'll look. Okay, you're right.
Yeah, it's like, all right. I had an offense. I'm not gonna lie, like we're the holdup, man. Oh, okay. All right. And those things, look, you have to grin and bear it because why? Because we're always being tested. Always. But that doesn't mean we're gonna fail the test. No. As long as we deal with it with grace and humility, the Most High is gonna open doors. He always does. So with that, family, I have the link here in the chat. I would say go get your book today. 132 pages front and back.
Yes,
I believe you'll enjoy
congratulations
it.
again on this book. Look, y'all, he hinted at the book signing situation. We're literally going to be, our grandchildren and great grandchildren will be reading about this period in our history and the work of Q2UA Africa. And this literally will be a family heirloom, the very first from the face of neo-diplomacy, our own brother Karis, and our walking and taking back what was taken from us.
Hallelujah.
So it's not shameless self-promotion. Congratulations on such a huge accomplishment. We celebrate you. We thank the Most High for you. And congratulations on getting your house back. You can now walk around your house in your wife beater.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Do what you want.
Right. Yeah, exactly. With the boxers, white beater, and the robe on, with all sorts of messed up slippers. Look, and not have to feel ashamed of myself.
Ashy.
I could be as ashy as I want to be. I could be all flaky as I want to be. All dried up, cracked lipped as I want to be. Oh,
You got your house back. You got your house back this week. And now we get to go ahead and build this house together on Friday. Friday, fun day, family Friday. Here at Q2UA Africa. If you haven't already obtained your copy of Africa Rising by author
The Rise of Africa. The Rise of Africa.
The Rise of Africa by the PhD candidate Karis Copeland. Please get your copy and support this work and spreading the message to these other spaces. Brother Karis is uniquely positioned in academia, in influencing academic spaces. We have all come to know him and love him for his comedy and geopolitical military analysis. And his influence is in thought leadership and academic spaces in these executive leadership spaces. And so by supporting the book, you are also coming into agreement with that promotion, which is why it became necessary for him to scale back on Covenant Awakenings in order to dedicate more time and prioritize time for the leadership that is on him to walk in. So thank you all. Thank you for joining us here at our housewarming. And we look forward to seeing y'all in the chat when we're over at Covenant Awakenings next week, Tuesday, right, Brother Karis?
It's gonna be Tuesday. It's gonna be Tuesday.
So next week at Covenant Awakenings, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are the new platform structures that Brother Karis has announced. And then Friday will be over here at our house. Here at Quest TNA Africa. Thank you for
and in a few weeks I'll actually will share the story of why that happened, because I didn't know why that happened until literally like 30 or a couple minutes before I came on the show. So I'll give you that breakdown here in a few weeks. So it's truly interesting. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. The Most High knows what he's doing, even when we don't have a clue what's going on. You know, when we develop that Abraham attitude, he say go and you just go. You don't ask questions. You don't say, well, where's the final destination? And he's like, just do what I told you to do. What I told you to do. When we really take on our father Abraham's attitude, when we get that instruction and then we look back, we see that the Most High truly had wonderful plans for us, plans to prosper us and not to harm us, plans to bring us to an expected end. And so I already know it's going to be a good testimony of Yah's goodness, Yah's kindness, and Yah's favor. I'm so excited when the rest of the family will find out about your revelation of why why we had to get a new house on Fridays. But to Yah be all the glory. It is a blessed and amazing time for us.
All right, hallelujah. Yeah, so we'll have all the details on this book signing. We're looking at sometime in late September. And I'm gonna tell you, September is gonna probably be real busy, family. So keep us in prayer. I think a lot of things are gonna start like busting through in an exponential manner.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're just getting poised. So when that champagne pops, when that bottle pops.
Yeah, busy was the understatement of ever. It's going to be us receiving a harvest. We have been working all summer. We understand that summer is the season of cultivation. You put your seed in the ground and you cultivate that thing. Shout out to Legacy Garden, our Quest Africa partner, strategic partner, and the amazing work that they're doing in equipping the community with this knowledge, this expertise, this love for gardening and for the earth and land restoration. And we've been doing the cultivation work all summer. September, we're looking at the beginning of the harvest season. And I am so excited for that crop that we will begin to glean in September. So it's going to be bigly. It's going to be huge.
It's going to be bigly. That's all I can say. It's going to be bigly, family. Bigly.
All right. Well, thank you again, our special guest, who's really our executive director. That's interesting. We're gonna really have to tighten up the messaging on that. Brother Karis, you're actually the leader.
You want to be the Mr. Executive. You want to do the formal. Please don't say His Excellency. Don't. I don't even want to hear that one.
It's just interesting. We're calling you our guest, and this is this is your organization. The organization.
Yeah, they treat me. I'm a get. Look, that's how they treat me now.
All right, family. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate all this love. We got some hugs, some blessings, some flowers. We receive and cherish each and every one. We cherish each and every one of you. We could not be here without you. Continue to spread the word, the love, the vision of Q2UA out there in these streets. And we look forward to seeing you next Friday. Don't forget, Brother Garth will be on at 10 o'clock. And Brother Mike will be on at 12 o'clock Eastern today, continuing to spread the word, the love, and the leadership, the light that's shining from Q2UA. And with that, y'all, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.